topic today is the impact of bullying. And so it's, the reason why we chose this topic is because it's still happening, okay? And we are public health managers. We work with schools and we also work with parents. And what we're doing is we're trying to prevent bullying from continuing to happen, and we're trying to provide parents the tools needed in order to be able to learn how to deal with their child and learn how to handle that. Here are some of the learning outcomes that you're gonna learn here today, and it would be identifying the types of bullying and consequences, describing preventative actions against bullying, and then evaluating yourself and what role you play as a parent in bullying situations. Because I don't know if you've heard that a lot of parents, they say when a child bullies another child, they say a lot of parents are not really teaching their child the right way, they're not raising them the right way. But it turns out, with a lot of research, that that's not true. So, so you are parents of children that have been bullied, okay? And then we're gonna start with this short video.
Nice shirt.
So has anybody experienced bullying in any kind of way? I'm sure there's, quite a few of us that has had. With personal experience, I have experienced a lot of bullying when I was younger, because I grew up in Chicago. I don't know if that's the reason why, but I actually was sitting in my chair and this girl approached me and she basically just smacked me right across my face. And she would bother me every day on a daily basis, But eventually she got so mad to the point that she smacked me across the face in front of all the students and in front of the teacher. And so I was really upset because the teacher didn't do anything about it, So that would be my most, effective experience that I had when I was a child. So I'm sure we all experienced bullying, some way or another.
Okay, so I'll be teaching you guys about the learning outcome 1, which is defining bullying and the consequences of bullying. So bullying is technically a continuous unwanted behavior that may be aggressive due to perceived or real power imbalance. So a bully might not have a real power over you, but the thought that you think they do is the reason why they can continuously bully you. And then there's 3 types of bullying. It's verbal, social, and physical bullying. For verbal bullying, it could be simple as teasing someone, saying or even writing comments on their lockers. I don't know if you guys ever experienced that in high school, but I have witnessed people get bullied, and it's not really a pretty sight to see, honestly. For social bullying, it could be when you damage someone's reputation by calling them names that they aren't associated with, or even just isolating them from people. Like, hey, I'm your friend, so that person can't be your friend. We're isolating that one individual out of the whole equation, and that is social. That is considered bullying, even though you're not physically harming them. It's bullying. And for physical bullying, it could be assaulting someone physically, or even just taking their stuff, breaking it, or even stealing stuff. That's bullying. And before we get to the consequences, we'll have you guys come up with the consequences that each of these 3 could face: victims, the bully, and the bystander. So, can we have the lights on?
So we have 2 boards over here, and we're gonna give prizes, so whoever can come up with the most
Can you guys split into
consequences.
Split into 2 groups.
Yeah, 3 and 3.
What are we gonna do?
Just think of consequences, which could be different things that a bully could have faced, the victim could, and even the bystander, that people think they're not associated with it, but technically the bystander is part of the equation as well.
So we're gonna find out what you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys could talk within your 3 group, and then
Are we giving them 5 minutes to?
You can choose which one stays with
Yeah.
you guys. And yeah, you think.
Okay.
I'll hold this.
Come on, Bilal, get up there and start writing something.
Lily?
We're supposed to write them on the board.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Use your markers.
So you can write number one.
So it will be write it down. You write down.
Yeah, you can do like maybe a category for victims, the bully, and then the bystander. And then you may see overlapping consequences, honestly.
Just so we can find out what y'all know.
Yeah, because we want to see what knowledge you guys have about this topic already.
So consequences for the victim. You can focus on whatever order you
Low
want.
self-esteem. Low self-esteem. So it deeply and then you do low self-esteem.
I'm
Insecurity.
thinking bystanders, they don't feel so happy, do they? I mean, victims are
Yeah,
negative.
do bullying.
Yeah.
No, victims, they can get,
Right.
Yeah, low
they can get low self-esteem. They might kill themselves. Victim, yeah, right, victim. No, victims. The victims, the people.
Smile.
We're doing our presentation.
Scared or scared of people. Because they mental abuse.
Yes.
Yes, low.
That's how I did Joyce, except I voice
Ah.
recorded her.
Some of
And
them
then,
are suicide.
Insecurity.
she wanted to do it over a couple times. I'm like, no, it's good. You don't have to.
Community is so natural. Like
I
communication.
think there's even those little bit of nerves. She's got a bad but
Really
still.
And kind of
Really?
he failed everything for a long
I
time.
would think that's like in our subject, like she's concrete on it.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Right.
Hi.
What's going on?
We're doing a presentation.
We're
You
doing
wanna
a
come in and
contest right
join
now.
us?
Are you really?
We are.
Oh, you
Are you on break?
I'm done.
Jerry's done with his bachelor's degree. people.
Woo!
Congratulations.
Yep, we hit the end of the road.
Oh,
I like your shirt.
So, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Good, look at me, huh?
Look at this, boy, you guys got her. We had her, she was all,
I was in a sling and everything.
chicken wing, it was tough.
Yeah,
It was tough. What are we working on here?
we're doing fine.
We're doing a thing on bullying.
Really?
Yeah.
On bullying?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about
Ways to
that.
stop it, you know?
Are you sure?
Ways to stop it?
Yeah.
Get a big brother.
Jerry.
Yeah,
Are you gonna do social work program?
Yes,
I thought so. Good for
started in
you.
September.
Here?
Yes, I was invited to the Facebook group today.
Yay!
Oh.
I
What-
like
What's
that.
Facebook? Most of gray hair don't do Facebook.
Excuse me.
Oh, no, a lot
Well,
of people do. It's a
I'm
big
not
thing.
like faculty or nothing. We're working on that.
I'm not on the
Overcome it?
I'm on
That's so
LinkedIn.
bad.
Just the consequences.
That's good.
There, yeah. Later on, we'll go
Nice.
about
Oh, it's this for just victims, for victims.
victims, and you can do bullies and bystanders.
After
the three of them?
Yeah. I
I
mean,
do.
Bullies.
they would win.
Combined with the chicken.
Okay, we want at least,
Fair.
you guys can
Yeah.
come up with at least 10 things, right? Come on, come on.
Not that much. You don't have to do that much.
Really?
Yeah, not that much.
All right,
Doesn't
well,
have to be. It will teach them
it's
too.
kind of bad things, feelings, you know, and who wants to feel like that?
Ego. Ego. Or
Eager?
ego.
Evil?
Ego.
They
Ego.
learned to bully.
Ego.
Yeah.
Oh, an ego,
Learned
yeah.
to be bullied.
How about controlling? Oh, I'm giving you guys ideas now. Look at me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big part of it.
Okay, you can call whenever you want to call it. And
Okay.
then-
Should we let them get to the third one? Because they're.
Yeah, you want to they can come up and, these are prizes they can get. And then, because I wanted to make sure there's enough for everybody. But these are girls' I like sweet pea. You know in Carolina they call you sweet pea?
I love sweet pea too. I always get those.
You didn't bring us again.
I'm sorry, y'all.
We should have been the first priority.
We're getting close.
Boy, they were smoking you on the other board, too.
Bystanders is the people who watch them.
Yeah, like they don't do anything. Just like see what's going on.
So I was gonna even,
Good online.
Tell him why he needs
I have a
to
friend
give it up.
He's like, I go home and every hour, just like I did last weekend. I try to squeeze stuff in everywhere I can.
Thank you.
Because it just makes more. Just go around and put some candy by their place.
Scared of. Scared of the waiting. They would say something.
I don't know what, like, ignore.
I get emotional.
No, they can be scared of, they don't because like, to be victimized.
Yes.
Kind of emotion.
Sometimes it's scared of, you know? Yeah, the kubusona,
I have nothing against those. And I like to embarrass them.
But not everybody has a
They
Jerry by
can be
their
low
side.
self-esteem.
No, but we come around every once in a while.
So you have to somehow?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
starting tomorrow. Uh-oh, Mr. Candy, here it comes. No, thank you.
Are you sure?
Doesn't mix well with beer. Little bit.
You're gonna celebrate?
Did you guys get the
You're
balls?
welcome to do
Bring them
some.
back real quick?
That's
That
very
was pretty cool, I thought. Did you? Sweet, come on over.
No, usually one,
Oh, are you going to social work? Oh, no.
90% the reason they don't say anything is like, don't do anything.
Oh, they don't inform, yeah.
And this, this online one, did they explain it in depth to you?
Yeah. Yes, I like
It
it.
is online and it's going to be.
Bystanders will have a lot of skills.
The instructors right now, the way this whole thing is going to be doing
They feel
one
bad
hour
about it.
for every lesson per week.
You always feel
So
bad
it's gonna be
about
like
it.
sitting here in your living room,
And you can do it at your own convenience.
right? And, it'll be the.
The other one
No.
is totally on campus. And so I'd like to do some of that stuff.
And that's why I thought, you know what, there's a lot of good technology, a lot of new stuff coming out, let's give it a run.
Are we gonna call it again?
Cause, that way you've got the freedom to work your day. Or, do other things, catch up. Sundays,
Really
Sundays,
impact, yeah.
Sundays.
Look
But,
the other way.
okay, I can deal with that.
Pretend they don't even
Makes
see it.
sense to me, and if you can interact with the instructor.
We got what?
What's the difference in here?
Yeah. You don't really waste too much time.
That's why, I work at the same time.
Yeah.
Nope.
A lot.
You're not going
Where's
to-
my video? You stop?
Okay.
Did you? You can resume and shut
I
it
have a Google machine with me.
Oh. Continue?
Okay.
I have to start.
Did we stop it and start it?
I didn't stop it.
Give it a look.
Oh, okay, well,
Give it a
take a
look.
picture of the room during us.
Yeah.
Well, there's a,
Oh my
It was
gosh.
still recording, I didn't stop it.
Jerry.
No.
So Easter bunny.
Right here, so
Bye.
they come up.
This year?
Lily.
Huh?
Yeah,
Here, I'll take it later.
thank you.
Lily wants to win.
Read off their boards.
September.
Yeah, just a little bit.
When you get done with
So
that.
let's see what Shell came up with.
Okay.
That's right.
This is seasonal hires. Might have a hard time getting through the interviews.
Yeah, that's tough. Screening.
No, I'm just reading it.
Okay.
I can get the
Never
gist
feel
of it.
like-
Oh, I was about to say powerless, uncomfortable. I forgot.
Come on.
So we all kind of know it doesn't make you feel.
Okay, so for the victim, you guys have very similar consequences of it. And what we came up was with obviously their self-esteem is super low, and this does increase their likelihood of getting mental illness, and eventually they could develop suicidal thoughts, and some do succeed in it. So that's why we really want to teach you guys more about bullying. And so you guys have loneliness, no confidence, low self-esteem, failure to excel in society. So if a kid is bullied at school, they don't want to go to school. So that means academically they are doing really bad. And if you don't have academic excellence in high school, you don't graduate. That leads to a downward spiral to depression, drug abuse. Even they could become a bully themselves because they're like, I've been through it, so I can do it to someone else now. And then for the bullies, they might seem that they want to be, the top dog in the area, but they usually are going through something themselves. It could be at home, or they have to bully someone else to feel superior. And that's a reflection of how they really feel about themselves. And obviously nowadays there's legal issues that go with it. Cops can get involved. If you do bully a kid and they commit suicide or anything, parents could technically go and press charges against you as harassment. Cyberbullying is a big thing now since technology is so advanced. For the bystanders, they do feel powerless, and since they witness all this activity going on between the victim and the bully, they themselves don't want to come to school too. They're like, I don't want to be one of them. I can't intervene because if I do, the bully's gonna come after me now. But if they do intervene, then the victim might feel better because they're like, oh, someone's on my side. But now they have a target on their back too. So that makes them want to use drugs as well. All three of these categories do tend to go to drugs, and even increased abusive habits. Obviously, the bully would be more abusive in nature. So it could be their relationships, towards their family, towards their children. They are going to be abusive unless something's done to them, or cops get involved, or someone intervenes and just tells them how it is. And so I want you guys as parents to be able to intervene at any stage that your kid is at, whether they're the victim, the bully, or the bystander. And yeah.
Okay.
So they'll go into preventive strategies.
Do you have the next one? Okay, so everybody who came up and wrote something on the board can come up and get a prize. I only have 2 that are kind of girly prizes, so come and choose. We're gonna get you up moving around again.
Uh-oh.
Okay?
Gifts?
Yes, we have gifts to give you.
Wow.
And you can't open them up till you leave. I'm just kidding. No, you can open them up early.
So you can come up.
And yeah, and if you want someone to grab something for you, come on. You're funny. Except these are given.
No.
Okay.
This is
No,
for
no.
later. This is for later. Yeah.
It's a neck braid. It's sparkles on you. Sweet Pea, they have Sweet Pea in North Carolina. They come with Sweet Pea at 11. It's the one boy, I think it's rapper one.
That is so good. Is it the same sweet pea?
Laptop.
Tablet. That's what you can have.
These videos are good. What is this?
And yeah, we're giving away laptops. Okay, I do bring it. Okay.
5 o'clock. And you know what?
You can take this one.
So I'm gonna share. Now I got y'all opening presents and making noise, but the next learning outcome we're gonna share is preventative actions against bullying. So we have 4 major areas we can look at: educating teenagers about bullying, how to react during a bullying situation, and the resources available. There's laws regarding bullying in the schools now, and so they're implemented. There's resources at the school, whether it be counselors, teachers should be proactive, not like the one in your situation. I'm sorry about that. Encourage to help victims of bullying report it to adults. And befriend them. Be friends to people if they're not being treated right. Open-ended communication is really important, and that is for you as parents to talk to your children and know what's going on in their school, their relationships and their friendships. So that communication is ongoing from the day they're born on up. The other thing is encouraging extracurricular activities, and sports are a real good way to get them involved. There's that starts at the parks even. Getting involved in a team sport teaches them how to interact healthy, and it's good exercise. If someone's under stress, it's a good stress reliever as well. So I encourage extracurricular activities, and they can, even if it's arts, it's so creative and it's outlet. So, and then you want to have appropriate role models. And girls, since teenagers look up to their role models, whether it be a guy or a girl, it's important to role play how you want them to behave, and when they're out of line to remind them that's not appropriate behavior, this is not what we expect here. So it's really crucial as parents to teach them those good skills and what's respectful and honorable, and showing respect and dignity to everybody. All right, now we're going to move on to our next one.
And I want to share a little bit of this video. Just a small portion.
All right, everybody, welcome to You Better Listen to Your Dad 2018. Any of y'all know me know I've got two wonderful children, Hayden, my son at 10, my daughter, Temperance at 8. Well, my son has finally got in trouble on the bus enough to where he got actually kicked off the bus for 3 days because he was being a little bully, which I do not tolerate, cannot stand, and therefore he has to now run to school. We're right about 1 mile from the school, so all week he's got the experience of running to school. The good news is, hey guys, he keeps up a pretty good mile pace at 6 miles an hour so far. Yesterday he was apparently a little rude for Michelle in the morning, so even though it's raining this morning, he still gets to run. This right here is just simple. Ironically, since he's been running to school this week, his behavior's been much better. His teachers have approved of his behavior this week. He hasn't gotten in trouble at school this week, where last week he was just absolutely out of his mind.
So I want to kind of pause right there because, the point of it is that was his way, of being, and everybody's different, but that was his way of being able to show his son. And obviously, he was able to see that improvement, with the schools, which is kind of nice, and not to say this is how you should treat every child, but at the same time, depending on your family, depending on your beliefs, it would be kind of, beneficial to at least let them know that it's not a good thing, and so, if you're, as parents, like I said, if you have a child, that's a female, their most effective role model is the same sex parent, okay? So for females, it would be mom, for boys, it'd be their dads, and of course, it doesn't mean that, they don't have a bond or a relationship with their mom and things like that. But it's been proven, that the most effective role model to them is their same-sex parent. And, in talking to your, children, I probably would suggest showing them videos. There's a lot of videos, positive videos online that you can be able to show your child, and how it affects parents who have their child that actually bullies another one. It would be ideal for them to receive some mental health services because there might be some underlying issues that we're not aware of, you might not be aware of, of your child. And then, if your child comes home, on the other hand, if your child comes home and tells you they've been bullied, they're being bothered, and there's all kinds of avenues when it comes to this, but, if you call the police and you make a report and you say that, you feel like your child is being harassed, unless there's a significant threat, the police are not gonna do anything, okay? So, if it's like a he or she say, or if your child participates somehow back to the bully, it's also not effective and the police won't do anything about it, but some of the options would be, talking, with the other parent. And you can do that by communicating with the school, because they can be able to call that parent and say, is it okay, to give this mom your number, or can you be able to give this mom a call, and can we share with you their number? There's some, problems happening with the children, or you can have a meeting at the school and find some kind of a medium as well. And again, with the bystanders, I think parents should, really illiterate, what it means. Like, I interviewed my daughter, and I asked her, what does it mean to you when somebody gets bullied, when she was 9 years old. So anyhow, so with that being said, there are Minnesota statutes that are effective when it comes to getting bullied, that are applicable. So the .0311 on there, that means that the schools, they need to include that policy. So when you enter the school, they need to include it, and they need to be able to tell you, about the bullying policy. Another one as well is the .031. That one talks a little bit more about it can't not happen on school premises, and then it cannot happen basically by the use of electronic technology with the cyberbullying. Any communications off the school premises. So if you're in the same school, but you're off the premises and you receive a threat, so 9 times out of 10, most of the schools, especially here in Minnesota, because we abide by rules, right? And so most of the schools here, high schools I work with a lot of high schools, and I can tell you, Creative Arts High School, they don't play around. So the moment that they receive notification upon a bully situation, either through text, through phone, through verbal, whether if it's verbal, whoever reports it, because they have zero tolerance for bullying, that child is kicked out. No matter what the circumstances is, they are literally kicked out of the school. Okay, so the parents would have to find another school. So that was, basically, just tips and pointers for you parents that have children, that have been bullied or are a bullier. That was my.
Yeah, I think I introduced her on that clip. So I met with Dr. Joyce Marie, and she is a graduate of St. Mary's. She's our expert that we brought in. She's the director of Crossroads Panorama, and she's on 66th and Nicola right by Holy Angels out there. And so I did an interview. I was going to call her on the phone because we're trying to use creative electronic resources. However, she's getting ready to go to Texas, and so we did it ahead of time. So if we click on here, we can hear the voice recording. Today I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Joyce Marie.
1 second, sorry about that.
She is the director and lead instructor of Crossroads Panorama. She is the executive director of CRM Panorama, managing and overseeing the organization. She implements programs, and she is a writer, director for performance with a PhD in creative drama therapy. She holds an MA in Human Development from St. Mary's University and an undergraduate degree in psychology from North Central University. She's licensed graduate social worker, and she's a registered drama therapist. She has over 30 years experience in creative drama, and she's an effective teacher, writer, producer, and consultant. So we're going to have her be our specialist and our professional on the topic of bullying. Some more things I can tell you about Joyce. Her productions have been staged at Pillsbury Center, Sabathani Community Center, Landmark Center, Capri, and Usable Museum of African American History in Chicago. Is that correct? All right, and then North Central University. So she has worked with youth in regular and alternative schools and juvenile detention centers and many community settings. She was nominated and awarded the 2018 Jean and Judy Jacobson Outstanding Citizen of the Year through the Human Rights Commission in Richfield, Minnesota, and I believe that was last year. So that's really, I saw it in the media. It was fabulous. She is currently co-chair of the Richfield Arts Commission and is a published author. Joyce has written and published We're All on a Journey to Find Truth, the life and history of Sojourner Truth. And she's got a volume 1 and 2, and she's also the author of Cherrywood Finds a Home, and it's a children's book dealing with bullying. And we're going to give everybody a copy today. Okay, so our first question for Joyce today is going to be, do you have suggestions for a struggling teenager who may be feeling suicidal or acting negatively and bullying others?
Well, I just basically think about how that teenagers today are really struggling with their self-image and self-esteem. And we, within our group, at Crossroads Panorama, we do a lot of role playing to help build the self-image of the participants, because we found that when they're injured by negative words and different ones that are actually name calling, and what we teach them in role play, we help them to come to grips with themselves and to learn in a safe space, improving their social skills, building their self-image. Again, I'm saying that just some assertive skills. But the main thing for suicidal, we want them to be able to talk to a counselor or another expert to help the child to deal with conflicting emotions and or other surrounding situations that they encounter. Because a lot of times, like I said, the bullying can be caused a lot of times because even parents, not preparing their kids. They need tools. They need practical tools to help them to handle bullying situations. There are several ways, like, okay, they can, when they come up against someone that is bullying them, because the parent had built a communication foundation where they love them, recognizing love, loving them unconditionally, getting involved, getting them involved. Like, my child, basically when she was growing up as a teen, people would come against her, but she was built on love and unconditional love, and yet she was able to know who she was as a person, as a child, and growing up among those that came against her negatively, like you have the haters and so forth. But she knew who she was, and so she had those tools. And so I think it's very important for parents to be able to work with their child. It starts at home, and then when they go to school, then they can be able to deal with some things. Because I know emotionally, it can cause a lot of emotions to negative emotions to gender up.
And you are a licensed social worker, so your daughter was blessed to have you.
Right.
All right, we'll move on to the next question. And our next question is, what are the consequences of bullying for the victim, the bully, and the bystander? That's
okay. Bully victims often are born after being repeatedly bullied. As a result, they are attempting to regain a sense of power in their lives, Usually, bully victims are common than you might think. In fact, a large number of bullies also have been victimized themselves. Bullying other kids is a way for them to retaliate because of the pain. And we know that hurting people hurt others. And so by the person that is the bully, a lot of times it's unresolved anger, pain, and it could be in the home where maybe a family moves in, a new family moves in, or a stepbrother, stepfather, so forth, and that child is bullied as a result. So they suffer the abuse under the hand of their older siblings or the stepsister, the stepbrother, and so forth. But most of all, bullying is a learned behavior. So bully victims are typically loners too, and they don't have a lot of social skills to how to deal with when they're being bullied.
So it's important to have communication with parents and to feel like you're loved and accepted.
Right.
That's important to keep those gates open.
Yeah, and and as I talk to kids, I tell them, when I go into schools, I talk to the kids and I say, you want to be careful about your words. And I always think about words are powerful, what you say. And I kind of go through a role play and I say, now you call that person a name. And they go home and they just cry and cry. They can't get beyond it because they're feeling the pain is that you told them they were ugly or they didn't look right or they didn't fit in. So they internalize this. And so as a result, and I say, then what happens? They're no more. And what do I mean by saying no more? And they say, well, she committed suicide. I said, yes. And so I would not want to be a murderer with my mouth. You don't have to have a weapon, but you can use your mouth to kill somebody.
That's powerful. That's a good way to impact the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful, I love it. Did we have one more question for you, or let's see. Looks like we covered. Okay, we have one more. Do they have similar long-lasting impact than
long-lasting impact?
Oh, do bullies have if someone who's been bullied, does it have a long impact into adulthood? I suppose if their steam is not built up and it stays down, it's gonna affect them in adulthood too, right?
So, you know, people experience trauma a lot because of the bullying, and it's a long-lasting effect, you know, psychologically, because it's that seed has been planted, and it doesn't seem to go. And sometimes it becomes a very, very hard. It becomes difficult because a person may go out and start drinking. So they start drinking, they start using drugs and so forth like that because of the pressure of being bullied, you know, for such a long time. It can never be.
Trying to push back the negative feelings, the
Right.
pain they're feeling,
Yeah,
and hide it. That's a
Right.
vicious cycle, it turns to be.
And so they get aggressive, and they may, even in a marital situation, aggressive to the wife or the husband, you know, abusive language that's spoken and beaten. And I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in the bullying as an adult. You could be bullied on your job, you know, and people, your employees or employee, you know, people that have problems with their work in their workplace, they are bullied. Underlying, maybe hidden a little bit, but it's there, you know. So,
And it could escalate to something larger.
right. And so this is where people come in, and this is where the adults could be traumatized by this and basically start drinking or, you know.
It's really destructive, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's very destructive too. You know, for, like I said,
We have one life to live, and you just think we should care about one another and build each other up and make the world a better place. So,
right.
well, Joyce, thank you so much for your interview today. I appreciate it. Let's see. Do you have bullies? Let's see. I have one more question, I guess. Do you find bullies are bullied and fit?
And I think I kind of answered that earlier. Yeah, I did kind of answer.
One more thing after this.
So I just want to present this video as well, but I wanted,
lights down?
I wanted Lily to see it. So I don't know where she's at. She just stepped out for a moment.